Golf is present over here. Ma'am, may I request you to please take a seat.
Thank you so much. Am I audible? Is this correct? Yes. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that. I usually do not prefer for profiles to be read out loud that much. In this case, I am, because now all of you know that I have no business talking on this panel with everybody that you have here. My sole role is to just ensure everybody is speaking on the subject you're hoping we touch upon, which is about online practices when it comes to collaborative learning and how communication goes with that. Of course, all of you know, all of them already courtesy this. We had a little conversation on how we wanted to take it. I want to understand, do we still have our 50 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So we are going to keep 5 minutes for Q&A in the end, and till then, everybody just please enjoy what we are going to hear from this panel. There are a couple of how technology is impacting and changing things, how students have changed, which is a known fact. Let me bring the conversation to you about teachers and their conversations with students, and what is your takeaway, what is your experience on it? Are teachers right now correctly being equipped to change with the students for online practices?
In fact, I just go back to yesterday, and if you all remember, Divya began by saying that, okay, I'm going to talk about technology, but the most important person in the school is the teacher. And I think we begin with that. Whenever I'm asked to speak on something, I like to take something I don't know anything about, because then I tend to read on it, I tend to learn, and I think that's the way I grow as well. So when I got this message saying you've got to speak on communication and collaboration online, communication has been my subject all the time, collaboration, yes, to a certain extent. I said online, and then I saw Rajesh's name and I said, oh, I'm not going to speak about online tools, because Rajesh is the expert on online tools. So I will not be talking about that, and I really like to talk about the human element and technology, because you can fit the classroom with the best technology equipment, but if the teacher and the children do not use that equipment in the way it should be used, everything is defeated. And once again, we go back to yesterday, we were talking about skills development. Are our teachers, have their skills been developed to use technology the way it should be used? EQFI, we do a teacher skills audit of schools where we go in and actually observe teachers. And one or two things were a little worrying when we went to do a technology audit. We had this teacher teaching psychology. Excellent material she brought in, and most probably is provided by the content provider. See, the content provider can only provide you excellent content. How you use it in the class, again, depends on the information ecology of the classroom. So here was this teacher, she put on the video, and the children watched it for some time, and then I could see that they were disinterested, because the teacher had not challenged them with that video. If she had prepared a set of questions and said, here you're going to watch this video, and at the end of this video we're going to have a discussion at each table where you're going to sit down and talk about certain aspects that I've mentioned, then perhaps the children would have been more interested to find out. There would have been a sense of curiosity, a sense of finding out what is happening. So what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of investment in technology, but how much is it being used in the classroom? How well is it used in the classroom? This is something as heads of schools we have to be very vigilant about. And I've got wonderful examples of teachers using technology. Recently I was a mentor. British Council has a program where they actually open up action research in schools and teachers can opt for them. So I'm one of the mentors, and I had this teacher teaching 11th and 12th chemistry who actually wanted to prove that the flipped classroom is one of the best ways to teach the children. Am I taking too much time? So I asked her first, I said, you really do it in 11th and 12th? Because our 11th and 12th teachers say, we've got such a big curriculum, we've got to finish it, can we have the time to use this? She said, yes ma'am, I'm using it in my 11th and 12th. And I was able, luckily, to help her collaborate with a teacher in Bombay who was also teaching chemistry through the flipped classroom approach. And you will not believe, both these teachers took up the topics, they worked together, one in Bombay, one in Delhi, and did a wonderful program, and she was really given a lot of credit for her particular action research. So what I'm trying to say is, we have to use technology, but we also have to, as heads of schools, be very careful by saying it's not just providing the infrastructure, it's going far beyond that. And I think as heads of schools, we have to mentor, we have to watch, we have to see that is it being used the way it should be used. And this is so because one thing, children have changed, like she mentioned. Children do not want the lecture approach. They don't want you to go from point 1 to point 10. There's a non-linear way of thinking now. They are involved in multitasking. They are involved in visual input. So we have to change. We have to bring technology to the classroom. How we do it is what is going to change the information ecology of the class. I have lots to speak, but I'm not speaking.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that, though. I would actually take the conversation to such a order. Just to add to what Meera was saying, and she's raising this point that you can fit your classrooms with the best that the tech world has to offer, but if your instructor has not got it right, or if your instructor is not comfortable, it really goes down the drain. Now, anything to add to that? You're running something where you probably have experience on whether we're doing the right thing in equipping the instructor.
Good morning, all of you. I hope I'm audible to all of you. Am I? Yes. All right. First of all, I would like to thank Shantanu because making so much of audience from one category is a great job, I should feel, sir. And enhancing your point, madam, ultimately what is an aspect of all these things, using technology, bringing good teachers and entering good classrooms. The soul of all this is student and making student learn something. Now what is going really not our way is, a good classrooms starts from the number 25 and ends up probably nowhere. Some schools at 90, 100 as well. How to make them understand the process of learning is really getting difficult. Because any teacher, I would give hats off to today's teachers as well. They're really way good. But to accommodate 100 students in a classroom, while his infrastructure way is okay. But to make them learn with one teacher is getting really difficult. And that has to be understood. The perspective is, are you really able to cope up to each individual or each student? There is where technology has to creep in. And with the process of smart boards and Educom ultimately company, you have to cross a step ahead. Because even with these smart boards, what ultimately is happening? Teachers are going over there, they're making students learn something with a process which is just enhanced from a chalk and a blackboard. I want this technology to get upgraded one more step. Imagine if 25 students are sitting in a classroom and if 25 teachers come across and can be with an individual have a chat about what they're going to learn, what they're going to understand. So if this we can do by using technology, I would feel that with India and so vast people and students coming into the school would help us across to make each student understand and each teacher make them learn in a better manner. If that is something we'll be able to do with the help of technology, ultimately the goal of teacher, parent and student would be sufficed. With my word, I would also say that individual teachers are doing really better in today's world, as if we see ourselves accommodating a lot less than, 5 million students or more than that really, I don't have the number. With that, we have to accommodate technology to the best of its extent, and it is only possible if we put one step further and add up technology more and more into the classroom, because if we have to survive, if we have to make student learn in a proper manner, ultimately the teacher number, the resource number is way less than India. That's what I would add.
Perfect, got it, thank you. So he's saying take technology deeper, go deeper, try and make it more pervasive. So to that, Dr. Sir, can I invite you into the conversation right now? And how do we do that? How do we find a way in which technology marries education in such a way that at that classroom level it's making a difference?
Morning. To begin with, privileged to be part of this high-tech community and feel honored to share a few of my thoughts. Let me start with defer to Meera ma'am. I personally feel time has gone when teacher was the most important ingredient in a classroom, in a school environment. Today it is the child. If you go back to the Mahabharata, both Eklavya and Karan, they learn in the absence of the teacher. But probably they adopted the technique, the methodology, which today we are not able to inspire our children to do. Let me take back 1995. I was in APJ School, Noida. That was the first time I think Educom was also coming up. And after working on the punch card system, which I worked when I did my specialization, we started computer-aided learning package. We had one teacher, HOD mathematics, and I asked her, you give me a storyboard on area under integration and I'll get it transformed into the Cal packages. She gave it, we got it, and after that I asked her, you review before we put it to the children. After reviewing that Cal package, her comment was, oh gosh, I never thought I teach so badly. Actually, mathematics teaching for 18 years, and first comment after seeing that Cal. Educom has brought Cal from that 1995 arena today to the most lively. But I'm sharing with you still that HOD says I never thought so badly. The reason we have to teach the way children learn rather than children have to understand the way I teach. And that is only possible when we integrate technology in the classroom. Now when we say about technology and how you raise question to Meera ma'am, how teachers pick up this technology. Please remember, advancement of technology is so fast that we say you open the carton and hardware is outdated, you click on the software and software is outdated. And the only person who can teach you technology is the child in the classroom. Because he, without fear of failure, tries innovative ways at home within the group to learn that technology. If in the classroom we have a communication and collaboration with the child, don't worry about technology. Children will teach you, ma'am, the cloud on is on, ma'am, the homework schedule is on, number of whether it's a Skype, whether it's a teleconferencing, whether it's an instant messaging. They will tell you all about tools. You don't worry about that. They will even teach you. Only thing requires collaborate and communicate with the children in the class. I tell you, you will be the best inspiring teacher and you will make a difference in the teaching learning process. Sorry, I can go on.
That's fine, that's fine. But thank you for that input. And yeah, a really small number. You know, Gulmam, I'm going to get you into the conversation right now. That's a slightly discouraging number. Like, we are trying to get a sense over here that parents are not really asking these questions on how they understand their child is changing. They are getting them the laptops and the iPads and the tablets and the phones, but they're really not asking the schools on how are you encouraging the use of technology for my child to understand things that he cannot otherwise just go and Google out. So just give me a sense on the parents' element of it. Are they changing?
Yes, Noor, I think there is a major problem which we may not have yet realized. That though we are trying to push technology in the classes, we haven't been very successful in pushing technology in the homes of the children. There are umpteen number of schools which are not very affluent, who are not, the parents which are not able to have a simple computer at home. though they come back and tell us that मैडम हम तो पढ़े लिखे नहीं हैं लेकिन हमको हमारे बच्चों को ये सब फैसिलिटी देनी है. And that is very true. I mean, one aspires to see their children do better. But what we are trying to do is, we are trying to also educate the parents to see that they take a little bit of interest into the technology itself. They have such a mental block, हम तो कंप्यूटर को हाथ लगाएंगे तो कुछ बिगड़ जाएगा, हमारे बच्चे को कंप्यूटर को हाथ लगाने नहीं देंगे. These kind of apprehensions. And therefore parents are a little way behind the technology, and therefore they are not able to communicate with the staff, with the school, whatever we want to send across to them. Okay, they may ask someone to read out what has come in. When we used to send notices or things for certain events of the school, it was fun, they would read it. But now if you're totally going online with them and saying everything will be now technical and everything will be online, they are flabbergasted, because they still want to come back in person to meet the teachers, to talk to them, to find out how their children are doing. But as our panel rightly said, that children are becoming far more educated, far more advanced than some of our teachers. Many teachers still have a little block and say we are not very comfortable with, manipulating or holding these things in class. But children come forward and say, ma'am, can we switch it on? But let me tell you that Educom, when it came into the market, I remember I asked Mr. Shantanu that are we the guinea pigs? Because we were one of the few schools which started off with Educom. I flew down to Delhi, I had a meeting with Mr. Shantanu, and he said, no, Mrs. Kadyani, don't worry, we are absolutely online, we are perfect, we'll do the needful. And true to his word, I think Educom has done a wonderful job. It has made lessons come alive. Teachers used to walk in with a chalk and scribble on the blackboard. They would read out of books. But now, of course, a teacher must come prepared. She cannot sit down, relax and put the video on and say, just watch. Okay, for proxy periods maybe it could be done, but not for actual teaching. The teacher needs to be there. I think under no circumstances can we do away with teachers. Their role has changed. They are no more teachers, they have now become facilitators for children. They do sort of add on to what the children know, and let me share a secret, they themselves are learning in this whole bargain. So it is really important that parents now need to be more interested, more educated. How we do it is a question mark, but unless the three sides of the triangle are absolutely in unison, the child is going to benefit out of that.
All right,
Thank
perfect. Kishan, you wanted to add something to this?
quite agree.
That's just, gentlemen will help you there.
I quite agree with the panelists. We work among the middle and lower income groups of families where the parents are either educated or only one parent is educated. So, but the students are, their children are far ahead in using the gadgets in every way. And then the use of their own language, I think the dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary has to induct those words or what the children develop or create among themselves to talk or do it. And the teacher is always left flabbergasted. Ma'am, we are not able to understand them what they want. So, but then when Educom came, we are very happy that our teachers were able to create their own innovative methods of bringing out the schedules for the children to learn, and the children in turn helping the teachers too. And it was an interaction between both the student and the teachers. I quite agree, our parents are not educated and they find it very difficult to accept what all I bring in the school. But then when the Educom was introduced, and they were very happy when the children went back and told them that we are able to understand the concepts very well. So it's a very awesome experience for us. But then now we have to not only train the teachers. I'm very happy that Educom is also extending the training to our teachers at phased intervals. And then now we wanted to know how to take this training program to at least some of the parents of the school. This is our main concern, to involve the parents in training, bringing some of them into the work of this technology so that they can help their children. Otherwise, the children's attitude towards the parents change. That's, we are very much concerned.
All right. If I should right, Oxford included the word selfie last year for the number of times it was used, and God knows that it didn't come from some academic, thinking brain. It came literally from the people who are using that phone. We have agreed. Every time I use the word online and tools together, Atul will talk. So on that point, I just want to, there are one key point from the conversation right now is that whole parent mix, right? Now, I just want to understand that when we are talking about all the online tools that are created, the way they're designed, they're thought through, so on and so forth, do you guys think of the third angle of the triangle at all?
Yeah, I think, I mean, they're obviously, the triangle is the most important because these are the three key stakeholders. Just coming back to the tool side and, the participation of the teachers which we have been talking about. The children, they're going to find their way of communicating somehow or the other. Okay. The question is, are we going to be there when they're doing this communication? Okay. Can we participate when they are seeking out knowledge and information? So, if there isn't a tool for us to communicate, they're going to go to Facebook. From Facebook, they're going to go to Instagram, etc., etc. So the key thing is that we need to be present there, teachers, parents, when and where the children are communicating. And the public social media, so to speak, I refer to Facebook or similar networks. I think there's obviously there's this fear about it's being public, potential for abuse, etc. And that is where I think closed groups come in, where all these three stakeholders, the students, the teachers and the parents are participating together. Okay, everyone knows everyone, who's who, so there is that level of responsibility, and the children also feel comfortable that everyone's there and I can ask a question, I can get an answer, and things like that. So that's related to getting these three stakeholders together. In terms of getting used to the technology, a lot of, like ma'am said, teachers are still a little apprehensive about using technology. I think that's a little, I would just go a few years back when this was true. Because today, at that time I think there was the computer and it was a big setup. I think today that thing has changed completely. Today it's a simple mobile phone. And it's a very simple thing. For example, I'm sure almost everybody uses WhatsApp, right? And if you can use WhatsApp, then pretty much you can do what you want to do with technology, with the students and with your parents. So you can communicate, okay, you can send information, you can send notes, you can take photographs. I think everyone does it. Everyone is able to share a photograph, right, on a phone. And it's working and it's reaching your audiences and etc. So I think when teachers have been apprehensive about using technology, my thought would be this was a few years ago when I think the setup was fairly sophisticated. I think today that's not the case. Technology has moved that much forward that it has become very simple to use, right? And it is in the hand and it is available to you 24/7. This means one more thing, that the learning can happen now out of the class. It's not restricted to the time when I'm in school, right? It can happen when I'm, out of the. In terms of the collaboration part, I was just talking. I just wanted to highlight something. What we call the most valuable web property. You can imagine it will be Google, right? And when we say most valuable, we mean by number of times people visit it. Second is Yahoo, and the third, some of you might guess it might be Facebook or something, but it's not. It's a company called WordPress. Some of you might know about it. It's a blogging platform. It's the third most valuable web property in the world. And we are talking about collaboration is the future and etc., but it's not. It's right here. I'll give you an example. WordPress has only 419 employees, and they work out of 43 countries. They're all placed, they work from where they belong. So this third largest web property is being built by people who are using online communication, who are collaborating to build software. Okay? So I think, so it's not, and this is right now. Okay? So I think the collaboration aspect of it, I mean, I know we have a panel which talks of 21st century learning skills, and this is something key. That, you know, for the kind of problems that we're looking at in the world, in society, you need to be able to understand, you need to be able to collaborate. So you need to kind of get out of your comfort zone, which is, you know, the school or even your community, and be able to kind of, you know, connect with, say, international schools, you know, outside, and have students actually collaborate on doing projects together. And again, what does a project really mean? It doesn't mean that you have, you know, a huge amount of, you know, inventory and, you know, equipment and gadgets and etc. It's a simple video conference, it's calls, it's exchanging notes, it's blogging, and I think those kind of things.
Right, perfect. Thank you, Atul. Thank you for that. One key point coming from that, but before I go there, which is about social media, which you mentioned, and I would like the panel's view on that. Before I go there, Dr. Seth, did you want to add to, you know, what Mr. Shastri was saying, I think?
See, that's correct. The number of the social or educational sites are there, and teacher plays a very important role. My only humble caution to all the principals, all the educational leaders, make sure your teachers are well equipped with the technology, and collaboration with the child can help that very, very well. Engaging children, online learning, you know, there is an explosion of online learners. UNESCO survey says that growth has increased by 7,000 times online learner when there is no formal teacher available. So if teachers do not learn that fast, things will not come up. The kind of constraint we are having, probably the odd number on one day and the even number vehicle on another day, distance, space, mandate 2050, there may not be a formal school like this. Probably a Mira School of Communication and the other school of technology and other school of physics would come up. It is only because they have a better collaboration with their children through technology. They can engage children very well. They can ensure the children are inspired for learning. They can present the content very well. They can follow up, monitor the learning pattern, and correct their presentation of instructions, learning, assignment, or whatever you call it. That's why I'm saying my humble submission to everyone, make sure you are fully involved into technology. Integration of technology into the day-to-day learning process is so effective that either way, both are learning together, teacher and the child, and the content which we want to deliver, that is actually happening in the day-to-day class.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Sija, for that. Social media point that Atul just brought out. Again, audience polling, please. So, how many of you encourage for your students to learn via social media? So, by that we mean social networking, even within your classroom, between your students. How many of you are all right with that, or encourage that rather? 10%, yeah.
Your question, I think is very pragmatic. All right or encouraging, there are two things. Like two different
So, all right, let me go with all right
I put
first.
my hand for all right.
Let's go with all right first, since that's the base.
Can I also suggest, for
Sure.
example, this is also a difference between social media and network. So I think you're not talking so much about social networks. I think that
Because even I say the definition of social networking is very different. I start a concept of e-magazine, and I ask all my 40 children, you write something about the topic of this. This is my e-magazine. You write, this is also social networking. It depends on how as a teacher you mold the concept of social
So
networking.
let me define social networking over here. Social media is obviously the platforms, which is the Facebooks and Instagrams of the world that allow you to talk to each other. But networking is when you actually talk to each other. So you're actually sharing, you're posting your feedback, your comments, asking your questions, you're allowing for answers to come through. So that would become, you are allowing people to talk to people who may not be really directly connected to your own school maybe. So networking is when you're, crossing the wires and connecting the dots. Now tell me, how many of you are alright with social networking within your classrooms? It's actually the same number, it's still 10%. I don't even want to take it forward, it's really okay. Yeah, please, Meera.
I think the reason for that is when you talk of social networking, yesterday we had the Commissioner of Police here talking to us, and one of the principals raised this thing about cyberbullying and things like that.
Yes.
So there is always a fear and we need to be a little careful. I think what we can talk about when we talk about collaborating, many of you must be involved with the British Council Connecting Classrooms. Yes. Where actually the schools from all over the world are connected, and normally British Council, it's usually the schools from Britain, and what happens is they share projects, they collaborate, they work together, and they understand each other better. So that could be a type of social networking.
Fair enough.
I know social networking which you take, if you look at that nomenclature from the point of view of a general social networking, maybe as principals we need to be a little careful about it.
Perfect. So that's, in fact, thank you, Meera ma'am, for putting that up. Yeah.
Tony Blair's face-to-face organization is Tony Blair's organization, face-to-face, I'm sure number of schools are using. It's a beautiful example of social networking. Education paradigm, when you talk about, you need to make your children aware about social etiquette. So social networking is one of the most important integral part of education domain. It's only which site, which process, that I think as a teacher principal.
Even from a development point of view, because cyberbullying is a huge truth, and of course you cannot shield your child from cyberbullying, because if not in school, somewhere else she is using social, which means at some level as principals, as organizers, you have to kind of understand what works with it, right? Atul, you had a point over here.
I think the real difference we are trying to really make is social networks which are public, like your Facebook and Twitter and etc. And then social network as a concept, okay, which now maybe within a classroom, maybe within a school, maybe within a set of classrooms, maybe between a classroom here and a classroom, in Bombay, it could be a single network, or these could be multiple. So I think the network definition, I think, needs to be kind of. I think the apprehension is really about public, social networks. So, and I think the media which comes in is actually the media which schools are putting up, okay, in terms of whether they're whether they're videos, whether they're documents, whether they're notes created by the teachers, whether they're questions that teachers are asking, okay, or this is content which is being curated by teachers by which is given by other third-party content providers. So I think this media and the network and this closed network together, or self-defined network, is really what a social network for a school comes in.
Sure, ma'am. So we do have kind of our last minute before we open to audiences. So
I'd just like to ask, how many of you, we had wonderful literature in that little black bag yesterday. How many of you looked at that? There's a lot of literature on the work that's being done in EDUCOM, all the various areas of technology. Besides that, there was also a book by Microsoft. And I think that gives you full details on all the tools that you can use for collaboration and communication. And the last pages actually give you samples of teachers' work and how they are collaborating with teachers all over the world. And I've been involved quite a bit with Microsoft, and there was this teacher from Visakhapatnam, from the Navodaya schools. He's a biology teacher. He has linked up with teachers all over the world and all over India, and he's available at any time to deal with any question on biology from classes 9 to 12. So there are things like that, and I think our teachers need to know that, because it's going to open up a wonderful world for them. And it's not just coming in for a 1 day's training or a 2-day training. It's something that's available. If you're a learner and you want to learn, there's plenty of material available. You only need to look for it. And that's what technology has done for us. So I think that's something wonderful about technology. And it's people like EDUCOM and others who have really opened up a wonderful world for us. So this is something that principals must talk to teachers about. It's not one workshop here and there that's going to make a difference.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, ma'am, I have one point to make and then we open it to you. But I really think we can take more than a couple of questions, right? Yes.
talking about social networking, I could give you just a very, very good example. Last year, a group of teachers, we took them to Nagaland. When we reached there, we realized that it was not at all an educated state. They have English as the medium, everyone speaks English, but there was no social networking. They knew nothing beyond the hills of Naga. And therefore, when we went there, we were surprised to understand and to see that the children had no concept of the world. So we donated a lot of computers and we started social networking. And now we are able to connect with a lot of schools in Nagaland. There we had taken a lot of videos and things like that where we showed them what India was all about. And they raised their eyebrows to say that we never knew this existed. So this kind of social networking, we have made alive the entire state of Nagaland, and we thank the governor there, Mr. P.D. Acharya, who invited us to come there. And we are taking another delegation again in the month of May to see how far they are progressing. The computers were there, but the teachers were not trained. Children didn't know what it was all about. So we have connected and connected beautifully. Thank you.
Again for that example. Questions. We really have just two, so make a good one. Straight, there's one question, I can see the lady there. If anybody else has a question, raise your... Alright, there are two questions, alright. Two questions and... Sorry boys, you're not getting a chance. You can just take two questions, but you can catch all of them offline if you like.
For this social networking, very small thing that we all do in schools, I believe. If you go to Gmail, open Gmail, documents are there, there's one. You can design your own forms, share with the students. The teachers prepare their own question papers and they can be moderated by each other. So this is very easy and we can all do it and it's very useful.
Thank you,
we are talking today.
Thank you for
and
that.
thanks for bringing it in, to us once again, reminding us that it's very useful. It is a wonderful thing that we are doing. And it can be done by everyone. And when we are taking up such points, it is a very good thing. Social networking is very important in school.
Thank you so much, ma'am. My apologies, they will...
I was just trying to go deeper into why. They haven't analyzed. See, right now they got something like FlipLearn. I thought it's an amazing tool and it's an app. So it's something like when we were so hooked on to WhatsApp, why can't we be hooked on to FlipLearn app, right? But I'm wondering why. So one of the reasons that's coming to our mind is if we get on the boards, I think the boards, the central board, the ICAC, whatever boards they are, they have to redesign their curriculum delivery mechanism to a system where technology is the basis. Then we'll find teachers not saying that I want to cover my syllabus or I want to uncover it or whatever it is with textual matter. That's exactly how we're born and brought up. We're born and brought up with a lot of text. We're born and brought up board. We're born and a lot of things, notes. We're born with these things and the teachers of that generation. So therefore the older they are, the more resistance to this. So if that is redefined from there, that if it can be everything on an online system, then I guess there will be no resistance because they have to flow. That's just
Actually, I think, Atul and Dr. Shia both want to respond and we will end with that. So
I think that's absolutely...
You want to take one more question?
Okay.
Absolutely fair point, and that's what I was saying. I mean, if you can use WhatsApp, because pretty much you're doing the same actions. That is part one. The other thing in terms of the boards having to change, I think because they're essentially designed for a classroom setting, I think and that process also is a longish process. I think what needs to be done is the teachers can actually use tools like FlipLearn to actually adapt what part they want to do in the classroom, what part they want the students to do out of class, and that over a period of today, for example, when you go and start using FlipLearn or a platform like that, it will all be very empty because there's nothing there really as such. But this is what we call body of work. Over 1 year, if every teacher starts putting assignments and etc., these are reusable again and again. So after 1 year, every teacher putting in their own content, their own questions, their assignments, their project works. This becomes an absolutely valuable and a very, very rich platform, even if you do not use content from outside. I think that need for teachers to create this content and then make the platform their own is more important than saying that let's wait for the boards to kind of change the delivery mechanism.
I think both.
Sir, is there any mechanism by which we can link the social networking site with the EduCom FlipLearn? So that as each and every student is accessible to the social networking site. So is there any mechanism by which we can link the social networking site like Facebook or Twitter with the EduCom FlipLearn?
Short answer is no. But then the idea is that we created an entire social network here. As I was just explaining, you have media and you have a network. So we have created our own social network. Now, for example, if you're on Facebook and Twitter, typically you wouldn't connect the two. Typically, I know some people do to cross-post, that is part two. But typically you wouldn't connect two social networks together, and therefore there is no need for us to connect. So I think in terms of, I don't know why you would want to do this, because you're already registered, your teachers are here, the parents are here, the school is looking at, there's an admin to help you out if things go wrong. Okay? So I think it's a self-contained, self-sufficient network by itself. Okay? And the idea is that it is closed and it is protected and secure from outside access. So no one who you don't know is not going to be in the network. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our esteemed panelists. May I now request Shantanu sir? May I now request Shantanu sir to please felicitate our esteemed panelists? Can you please keep the applaud going?